Victor.
Good afternoon. So yeah, I hope you guys don't mind. Like this is a public one, so you'll be on TV, YouTube. Okay, I see Michal's here. I think Dinar and Easy excuse themselves. Yeah, so I guess pretty much we are, unless somebody's joining.
Are we waiting for somebody from your side?
No,
it's me and Victor.
Cool. Thank you.
Awesome. Let's have it started then. Let me share the screen so we can talk like about agenda and okay. Okay, hope you see what I see.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. So I guess we don't have like any outstanding backlog issues.
So maybe before we
Yep.
start, we can welcome new joiners of this meeting. So Peter, welcome. Well,
Thank you.
we are very excited. New people joining KGB community meeting, and the rest of the group, I think we know each other. So like it's not a big group attending, so still it's kind of homey project. So I'm Yuri. I'm original creator of KGB project, and Timofey and Michal, they are main maintainers, and Nuno. So just wanted to like everybody be in sync.
Yeah, something
Nice
like I got it like deja vu. Like I think like he like Vitor as well, but he's not apologized. So yeah, that's why I was kind of like, okay, let's start it.
So Victor and Nuno, you are guys together, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Victor, do you want to introduce yourself or something? Sure. A quick introduction about myself. Yeah, I live in Portugal. I'm working with Nuno about 4 months ago. Started working with him. I knew him from other projects because I was a developer until a couple of months ago. Then I started working with Nuno and more on a cloud engineering and building platforms on Kubernetes. So this is quite a new world for me. So still learning a lot, still having a lot of knocking on every door, trying to understand stuff. So that it's been quite interesting for me. I was really needing a career change because I was getting tired of doing the same stuff. And yeah, that's it, basically.
So big welcome, Victor.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Big welcome. So
Thanks.
as Yuri mentioned, yeah, name's Tim. Me and Michal, we are working in the same company. It originally started the project. So yeah, we're right now, I think we quite diverse distributed team. We have people working in different companies, which is always good for the health of the project. So I welcome you guys as well. Yeah, probably like if you have something to add to agenda or something maybe you're interested in, you would like to hear more about, we're always welcome. Yeah, that. But yeah, I guess in general, I think yeah, and if you want to know more about the project, I think Nuno knows. Twitter, if you want to know more about project, like yeah, feel free to ask us anything. And
Okay.
KGB channel or yeah, personal, we always in GitHub and we're happy to answer. So yeah, so the agenda here is yeah, just similarly we'll go through some action items, and yeah, I also would like to discuss some bit backporting things. Like due to the things we experienced before with external DNS project, and due to the let's say the decisions we had to make with regards to Ingress v1 migration. Yeah, and then yeah, just briefly go through the project roadmap if we have any outstanding items. So let me just, okay, we updated the participants. Good. So let's briefly go through the action items. I think, yeah, one of the tickets was visiting the failover for more than 2 clusters. That's, I guess, still in progress. Unfortunately, so Jerzy was not able to attend, so I think, yeah, I'll have to follow up with him regarding the status of this ticket.
Is it like, so if I remember correctly, the round robin is like working out of the box, but
Yes.
the problem is with failover because there is no straightforward logic
Yes,
to each
exactly.
cluster to fail over in case of cluster number 3, for example, right?
Yeah,
Not a
3,
player.
4,
Yeah.
and up,
And
right?
more than 2, yeah.
Yeah. So which will be the first candidate, how we switch them, and yeah, so there needs to be some logic implemented there.
I think we will need some kind of design meeting around it, because for me, at least for me, it's not clear what we want to, how we want to make KGB to behave in this specific scenario.
Yeah.
If I just can jump, I did some investigations, and let's say they will make a demo outside and do the changes successfully. And basically, if you are guys, the change is not so difficult. If you are just guys satisfied, we have like a 3 cluster scenario. One is primary. If we lose the primary one, we take alphabetically, let's say, for instance, alphabetically the rest of the clusters, and provide the IPs of the following cluster sorted by alphabetical. So if we have a cluster ABC having the IPs 1, 2, 3, and the A is the primary, we will lose the primary. The rest of the clusters will retrieve 2, IP address 2. If we use B, we will retrieve the IP address 3. Like
Yes.
that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think we will need to give ability of control to the users of this ordering, right?
Yes.
Hey, Nuna, nice to see you. Glad your camera worked.
Yes, yes, we can make some like a default strategy, for instance, and then we can like keep it on the user to pick up the strategy.
Yeah, so we are already able to tag the cluster, so right, with geotag, and somewhere in configuration we just, I think we can specify the order of this geotagging, right? So actually,
we can do. We can make
instead
of primary geotag, we can make
exactly
a slice or array, and we will call it not primary geotag, or primary geotag we can keep, and then some default strategy will be run, but we can do a primary geotag order, and once you specify it,
like it,
then you go. Yeah,
and it will be more generic, right? Than like primary, secondary. It's just like an arbitrary tag and the ordering of the tag. Beautiful. Thank you.
Anyways, so yeah, just wanted to add to that. And I think this is also regarding the case we were checking regarding departure from the GSLB objects and so on. I think this is the time when we need to start with the proper architecture reviews and like the proper decision records. So that we have clear explanations for ourselves, and for community, right? Why certain things being done. I think like PRs are kind of the good things to track the implementation, but it will be good to kind of formalize that view and discuss that in agreeing decision. So we can kind of set off the documents that yeah, like in our documentation that you described it. So Michal, like, do you think you're good like in preparing some materials for that? So like the explanation of the flow, so we can discuss that.
Yes. I can
Okay.
even show some demo or something.
Cool. And yeah, so the second point, I think this is exactly about the Azure support. And yeah, would like to probably check how things been on your on your side, guys. We're actually happy to help. Like if you, I mean, like you must have recently, we've been in the burden of the stuff happening. So if you have some draft you need help with, just yeah, let us know. But we would like really to record this experience. And I think we had like several questions, like associated ones with that. So we're happy to share the success there.
Yeah, sure. I can talk a bit. I've been working a bit with it. My first roadblock was regarding we mainly use Azure Private DNS. We don't use Azure DNS. It's on our architecture design. So that was our first roadblock, because Azure Private DNS doesn't allow NS records. So
Right.
it's only for Azure DNS, not Azure Private DNS. So in our lab that we set up for testing it, we started using Windows DNS, an AD deployment, a DC controller with DNS enabled, and we started using the RFC 2136 with external DNS to work with it. We are now, firstly, I used like insecure updates just to get things moving. And now we are moving to having Kerberos authentication, so we can safely do updates on the DNS. So that will be something that we also gonna document, because it will probably be a use case for everyone using Azure and Windows DNS.
So like interesting. Yeah, go on.
Sorry, I was just going to comment that from one story that was Azure DNS, we basically are now into 3 stories, because one is Azure Public DNS, and finally getting NS records with external DNS for that solution, and that code showed up in the right places, and that's one story. But our own internal story is, as Vitor was saying, private DNS, because for the services that don't use K8GB, that's how we do it. So external DNS picks up the ingress and updates an Azure private DNS zone. But now we're moving to a story where we don't even have that requirement to update the Azure private DNS, because, for instance, for performance reasons, for cache reasons, and having less caches for DNS, if we just, and it's a typical scenario where most companies, when they have their internal VNets in Azure, then they have custom DNS configuration to connect to other environments, or to have their own the main controllers, or to have their own DNS records being managed internally. So at some point, typically these networks point to VMs doing DNS, either being the typical bind server doing its thing, or in this Microsoft ecosystem, Windows Active Directory doing DNS. So, and that's also what we do internally. On-prem, Azure, other cloud providers, the backbone is Windows DNS. So we have it, and Victor has it working with external DNS registering the core DNS service on all of the Kubernetes as name servers on Windows DNS. And the only challenge we need to mitigate there and resolve basically is this is working without authentication, but this is lab only. In real world, DNS propagation needs to have authentication. And that's what Victor was explaining, that he's wrapping up to get Kerberos going so that external DNS can authenticate with Windows DNS and get the DNS records there.
Yeah, that's actually, yeah, really interesting. Because we have like the similar story with the AWS. It also doesn't support for private hosted zones. It doesn't support the NS creations. I think it was a bit like helpful for us because they disabled it on the UI level, but it's still left on API level. So we were able to create NS zones, but they didn't work. But what we use instead, we used kind of local, yet another core DNS, like similar to bind or Windows DNS in that cluster as a resolver. And we were using, I think, there was a Route 53 plugin for core DNS, which was able to retrieve those NS like information from Route 53 anyway. But yeah, it feels like with private DNS, these are similar scenarios. I'm not sure about if GCP has the same, like, I don't know how to call like problem or the feature, right? To make I don't know, Azure DNS or RT3 the only one who's like able to do that stuff. Yeah. But yeah, seems like the solution lies in exactly in infra area. So since we have like the limitation, we cannot create those like working name NS zones. Yeah, we had to do some work, like make some workarounds. The more important it is then to, I guess, to share the story. So it'll be really good, I think, for customers to like having this similar issues, like so we can like update documentation, just telling, okay, yeah, these are like no limitations, but you at least like we are showing the way how you can do that.
Yeah, and I think our delivery should not only have an architecture guidance, but actual bits of code on how to do some of these parts. Because, for instance, setting up this Kerberos authentication, well, starting from scratch isn't the simplest thing. So I think we can, and that's what we're trying to wrap up. For instance, the core DNS configuration isn't exactly as deployed initially because we need to expose it internally to the network and that sort of thing.
Yes.
Those custom configurations are bits of code that we also want to include on this delivery.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So so I think like yeah, happy to probably if you're able to form some kind of draft, right? Happy to like review that and just create a PR, and we can incorporate to the documentation as a kind of use case. So I can do the same actually for AWS.
Just to manage expectations, we would like to deliver this initial set of discussion topics in a PR still this month, so that we can have some conversations there, wrap up what needs to be wrapped up, and move on.
Yeah, happy to. Yeah, I think. Yeah, happy to review and happy to agree on including it, and yeah, happy to share that experience. Definitely. Thank you guys.
Yeah, very interesting advanced setup, and as Timofey mentioned, we face the similar limitation in apps with the private DNS, right? So like it's a very associated idea to put core DNS in front, and this way make NS and zone delegation possible. But so like this is for these advanced scenarios that's super cool to document it and somehow publish it and make it available in the project. One thing on the first part, like fork external DNS and merge, so it points to the issue in external DNS project, but there is also open PR for NS support. So external DNS is super slow, and I think the maintainer is quite subjective on accepting the changes. So as we discussed several times, it's just easier to temporarily fork and use a custom build for external DNS. I used it in the start of the project, like, I don't know, for half a year, and I had no issues. So what I'm trying to say, it makes sense to unblock ourselves with the merge, running the custom fork, and make a public case for an Azure to basically make announcement of Azure support symmetric to public AWS, right? So it will be obvious, like it will expand the usability of the project and overall possible adoption. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I agree about that. I think with external DNS, we also had several cases. Then, yeah, we created upstream requests and they were not approved. Seems like, yeah, it is considered to be automation tool mostly for some subset of records, and the more they ask, the more issues they have with like supporting these records with naming conventions, ownership, and so on. So at that point, yeah, definitely. So I actually I forked it. Obviously no changes kind of there yet, but definitely, yeah, happy to do that and happy to incorporate that to be used by KGB. Having said that, I'm not sure it's going to be a temporary fork, but I think
I mean, we don't care.
Yeah,
long-term fork, whatever.
Yeah, we already decided that it's good accessibility point for HDNS automation, and it has already pretty decent support for different, external DNS, like the DNS servers and solutions. So definitely, yeah.
Yeah. So cool. Thank you for validation. From action point, so we can definitely prepare two things as a maintainers: external DNS fork and a KGB, not a build, right, but a configuration, a Helm chart pointing to this
exactly
fork. And question to BCP folks: will you be able to test it in Azure Public? Because we as a project, we do not have this environment. So
you mean AWS Public, Azure Public, not sure.
Azure Public. AWS public, we can do it, but Azure public, Nuno, Vitor, do we have ability to end-to-end test?
Yes, but I think we can do a bit better than that and set up some environment where not only the two of us, but at least the 5 or 6 of us, the maintainers of the project can spend some time, test it, and make sure it works.
That sounds amazing, but who will provide this environment?
I think we can figure that out on our side.
No, that would be cool. So we can actually like make MBCP like official sponsor of the project. This kind of visibility, if you like. No,
Let's
I'm
work
serious.
on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely really appreciate for the support there. Also, I think if I'm not mistaken, if I check the ticket, yeah, I think Sebastian, if not mistaken, he's still, I hope so. He works in Microsoft's customer architecture team. So I guess it's like with solution architecture. So we can also kind of get some hints from him, since I think he was created that. So we can let him know that we're happy actually to incorporate it to the fork, right? So and we're going to test it. So he'll be able to also test it as well. Because I guess this was also made for the customers, like as a good use case. But yeah, yeah, let's do some stuff, and yeah, let's make this happen this month. So let's see how it goes. Shouldn't be a rocket science, because yes, as you mentioned, Yuri, it should be about the Helm charts and just redirecting what we're using dependencies. Okay, so Cert Manager, yeah, integration issues. I think still I'd like to know more about that on the from Dinar and Easy. So this one was about the integration from our side with the with certificate manager, because that was exactly like the post about like trying KGB out, and that the cert manager integration was mentioned as one of the issues there. Also, let's say we're using it together with cert manager in the bank. So yeah, question is if there's something which can be made working for the wider public.
To be honest, I forgot. I really high level remember that it was like this clickbait kind of why you shouldn't use KGB. Meanwhile, in a text, everything worked for the author apart from some certificate integration. And I'm not sure why it worked for us in APSA, but not for him. Can you remind me if you remember offhand? So what kind of integration is it?
Really don't remember. Like
Yeah.
I can yeah, so I think Dinar had some solution, like some automated solution working. I don't think we use some extra magic there on our side, but yeah, I'd like to. Yeah.
In APSA, if I remember correctly, it is just a cert manager operating over standard ingress, standard labels, and everything works out of the box. So I don't really remember what kind of integration on KGB side is required, to be honest. So something I recall like it was something advanced, but not really a blocker for a standard use case.
Okay, so I think yeah, let me check with let me ping Dinar on that. WRCRD plugin, I think this is done. Michal can update me if we may miss something here still.
Just a sec. Actually, I don't see the shared screen at the moment.
You don't see it.
No.
Let me
Yeah.
share.
Oh, yeah. Now I can see. Wait.
Oops. I need to
Oh,
reshare.
no.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, Wade-Route Robin is basically in the core DNS. There is one open PR which is waiting for approval. So once these will be approved, we can use Wade-Route Robin. Basically, it's not within the KGB yet, but I already made the demo with Wade-Route Robin with that pull request in our core DNS CRD plugin. And yeah, it is covered by TerraTest. There is ingress support. And yeah, corner cases are basically solved.
So it's not within,
And
it's not integrated with KGB yet, right?
yeah. With KGB, it's not integrated yet. But as the demo, all these stuffs are solved for myself.
So the changes they are in Coordinates plugin, not Coordinates itself, right?
Yeah, Coordinates plugin. So it is on our side. There is one PR waiting, and basically what's going on is that for instance, basically what is there, if something is really wrong and breaks, it switch into the standard round robin instead of producing some errors, So Wade-Route Robin is working well, but in some fallback scenarios, which are specified and described within the PR, it fallbacks into the route robin.
Can you, so is this this
yeah,
one?
there is one pull request, that's it. And
Okay, let me just
and then there's the description.
So you're waiting for review, right? Everything is ready.
Yeah, this is like a crucial thing because all my tests goes against the not core DNS latest, sorry, not our core DNS latest or CRM plugin, but it goes against that branch.
Okay.
Got it.
Good. So yeah, Cloudflare support, I think it has the same thing with external DNS, right? So once we yeah, start using it, like the fork, we can do the implementation because it has the same dependency in it. So yeah, basically for Nuno and Vitor, I think recently the very single request we have from the users, we go to external DNS just to realize that like let's say NS and TXT records are not supported for that provider. And again, like adding it will definitely, I think, will, yeah, it has issue with approving to upstream, so that's why we were like it came to our attention that we are depending on for nearly every single integration on external DNS accepting the upstream request. So yeah.
So when we fork, we will be able to move much faster in that regards, right?
Yeah.
The only thing like how to test Cloudflare again, because it should be like on a side of requester. If you don't
Yeah,
have
it's I think it's
access of it.
similar to Linode, right? So that definitely we need to ask for help with testing. Maybe the originator or as a like some back bashing program, right? So and it definitely needs some account to be created. And I guess in most cases we are able to do maybe to test some public DNS resolution, not the general ones. So yeah, I guess this is it for us. Like, yeah, one thing I'd like to like, this is for action items. One thing I'd like to just to maybe discuss and would emphasize. So is backporting. I know like it's like sensitive question, right? As especially when we like usually working with main like branch, and we didn't have these issues before. So our case is the following. So since we're sitting on like pretty old Kubernetes clusters and with some old versions that are like predate that change for the ingress object API version, which I think started in 1.19 and got obsolete in 1.21, if not mistaken, right? So in K8GB, we made the decision to obviously turn to version 1, support this. So I think starting from version 0.9, and then this prevents us using the latest and greatest KGB on-prem until we migrate, which can take, like, to be fair, like quarter of a year. I'm not sure because it is not within our kind of right now power. We're depending on many teams to do that, and we need to upgrade the ingress objects and so on. So therefore, we need to maybe to create some kind of backports for some functionalities, for example, core DNS customization, some improvements on observability we've made. But yeah, we really consider that an exception for the moment, and but like if you don't do that,
Sorry for interruption. We will be kicked off the meeting. Free Zoom account, so we usually reconnect, guys. So sorry for that inconvenience.
Yeah. So you will be here with us. Yeah. Well, actually, let's stop the session and reconnect. Right away.
All right. Yep. See you in a second.